All right, mic check 1 2, mic check 1 2. Happy 2024. This is Tenoonzie back at it again. Chilling, chilling, chilling. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the Fam Bam group. Shout out to everybody on IG, YouTube, Facebook, and everywhere else. And in real life. Got to give a shout out to the real life people out there. So I know y'all haven't been seeing me around in a bit. Life be lifing. You know, that's what we do. Life be lifing. And then you make sure you line up all your ducks in a row. And once you got that going, then you just go ahead and do what you got to do. So anyway, we wanted to talk about what's going on in 2024. But before we do, I just want to give one more thank you to everybody who gave us a great 2023. Let's go ahead and give y'all the props for that. 2023 was crazy, you know, and especially the fourth quarter of the year. For some reason, the fourth quarter of the year just got bad. I don't know what that was about, but we made it. We got a fresh start, and it's not how you start, it's how you finish. So now we're going to take the end of 2023 and in stride, and then we're going to start off strong in 2024. So today, we're going to be talking about a couple of things because 2024 has not disappointed already. We had a few crazy things happening out in 2024. But before we get to that, I'm going to go ahead and pull up my wonderful guest, Miss Tay Robinson. What's going on? What's going on, Tay? Hold on, wait. There we go. There you go. Let me unmute you. There you go.
You muted me.
How you doing?
Hey, I'm good. How are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too. How's life treating you?
It's treating.
That's right.
It's picking up the check.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Yeah. So how was your New Year?
My New Year was fabulous. My daughter got married New Year's Eve, so I gained a son-in-law and a daughter-in-law for New Year's. For the new year.
For the new year. That's what I'm talking about. You know, love and togetherness. That's a good way to start the year, you know?
Absolutely.
I was just saying just a moment ago that, you know, 2023 really wasn't that bad. I mean, I think 2023 was a year of accountability. I said when January 1st, 2023, I said 2023 is all on me. I'm not gonna make no excuses. I'm gonna do whatever needs to be done. And there were a lot of blessings that came my way, a lot of challenges.
Absolutely.
And you know, specifically in the fourth quarter of the year, a lot happened, but we made it. And like I said, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And
Agreed.
now we're here in 2024. What do you think about that?
2024, leave it all on the floor. I think that it's a great start. I think that we've seen some great moments already. 2024 barely inching in, and already we had the internet break with Katt Williams. We've seen all these clapbacks. We've seen so many different things happen. We've seen the weird thing happen in the Miami Mall. I mean, there's a ton of things that we can talk about. And true to form, 2024 has not disappointed yet.
Yeah, you're right. You know what? I almost forgot about that Miami thing. Yeah, 2024 started off real quick. In fact, it was something else that happened in Miami. They're talking about now they've been seeing what unidentified aerial phenomenon.
Yeah, based in the sky.
Yeah, they've been seeing stuff in the sky. I would have pulled the footage up, but we're just gonna roll with what we have, which is just our minds. And I'm pretty sure most of the people who's going to be watching this, they've already watched everything that we're going to talk about anyway, so they know what's going on. So you already brought it up. Let's go ahead and start off with Katt Williams. I mean, what do you think about that situation?
So I watched the interview twice in its entirety and read through some of the comments. First off, I'm going to say he didn't say anything hasn't heard before. He's always maintained that his material's been stolen, that other comedians have devalued his skill set, and that he's the underdog. I mean, he also alluded to one of his favorite subjects, which is the selling of souls and sacrifice and Illuminati, and how some of the heavy hitters in the industry are all part of it. So
Yeah.
looking at it, I've got plenty to say, but I don't think it's anything anybody's not heard before.
Yeah. You know, the interesting part about what you just said is that, yeah, it's not anything that people haven't heard before, but do people really remember things? You know,
Mm-hmm.
there's so much happening, and I think that because we're still in that information age where you can get stuff like at the drop of a dime, people tend to forget things a lot quicker. You
Yeah.
know, because we
Yeah.
have that we have the list, the infamous list that's out right now, and
Epstein.
yeah, and the thing is that people were already given some information, and all the blogs are like recycling the same or regurgitating the same information, and people were acting like this stuff is just like brand new. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, this was the teaser stuff. This isn't even the stuff
Yeah.
that that
Yeah.
we were waiting for all the other information to come out, and
Yeah.
y'all getting pumped off this. I saw they were talking about that Chris Tucker was on the list, and I was like, man, he did a whole stand up talking about it.
He did.
That one stand up when he did the funny bit about Michael Jackson and him
And Bill Clinton.
impersonating Bill Clinton. Yeah, so that it was really cool. It was a good stand up, and I don't think he imagined that Epstein name would be thrown out there like that, and all the vile and crazy things that was happening. So he just mentioned it in his stand up, and now all of a sudden it's there. But people are really acting like this is groundbreaking news. No, this stuff been there. What do you
Yeah.
think is up with people of today and their attention span?
Well, I think that if we talk about the attention span now, we're producing members of society that don't have an attention span. There's always something new. Everything is breaking news. I mean, think about it. We just ran down 2024, and we've already got the mall. The phenomenon at the mall with whatever this anomaly is that happened at the mall, simultaneously with the releasing of the Epstein list, simultaneously with Katt breaking the internet, simultaneously with the Diddy thing. It's like, I don't think it is so much that people don't have their attention spans are so small. It's they're experiencing information overload, and so their minds can't. They're trying to take in all this information, but they can only compartmentalize those things in little files, and the thing that comes up the most is the things they focus on the most.
I agree with that, and also I think we have become heavily
Inundated.
we've been heavily dependent on technology. Nobody wants to write things anymore. We'll just bookmark this, bookmark that, or it'll be saved in like they'll save it for us. Your last couple of videos you watch, you can just go back and get it. So people don't tend to take the information as seriously as they used to because it's so easily accessible. I think we're taking a lot of things for granted. So in this day and age, I think what some people should start doing, where most people should have themselves a notepad and start writing things down, because look, we still been talking about the solar flares, and then of course we got the infamous World War III happening, and that's like a digital thing where they talk about knocking out the internet and all these crazy things. So I think it's important for people to start printing out stuff. Let's get back to the DVDs. Let's get back to the CDs, and get those things going so that we can keep some information in case something does happen. Because if they knock out the grid, none of this stuff, all these nice gadgets that we have, is not even going to matter. It's not going to work. It's going to be fried.
Well, I happen to think that Gen X will be very instrumental in that time, because Gen X is the last group prior to all of this. We're older than Google. We existed before cell phones. We are the last generation equipped with survival skills. Woohoo, Gen X. So it's like, we're functioning in the system where literally we've become so codependent on technology and the internet that even to survival, I don't think that people would even know how to survive if the grid went down because they can't Google it.
Yeah, because they can't Google it. Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's been information, things that I studied and I've saved, like the
Hmm.
bookmark. But
Hmm.
then when they rolled out the new algorithm and stuff, a lot of that stuff got moved around, and some of it even got deleted. So there's things,
Yep.
survival tactics or anything that you may need, you may deem useful. You can't even find some of that stuff. You know,
Yep.
uh, so it's very important to start downloading things or jotting notes
Thinking it
down and
about.
to have a reference. Yeah, go get books,
Well, I
stuff
would
like
suggest, buying a binder and just printing those things out, hole punching it and putting it in a binder. It old school, go old school with it. Just if you find something on the internet, save yourself the time, print it out, print that page
that.
out and buy yourself a hole puncher, stick it in your binder, get some dividers and create your own survival guide. I mean, and I know it's borderline doomsday prepping, but at the same time, when we're seeing all these occurrences, these events, I think that we're at a place in this system at this time in history where that's a very real necessity.
Yeah, we've never been closer to the things that we've heard over the years than we
Yeah,
have in these times. I mean, it's a
yeah,
lot of things in current events, and sometimes I just turn the television off. I don't watch TV already as it is, but then when it is on, and I'm
yeah.
watching the news or reading these articles on my phone, I'm like, man, they wilding right now. So you can see how the system is designed to um, keep everyone occupied and
Distracted.
and yeah, keeping everyone distracted and not being able to see what's really going on. Because that information, let's be honest, the way they deliver it is kind of boring. Um, it's kind of boring, but if you look at in the Trump era where they were talking smack back and forth, everybody was talking about it. They had the Rocket Man and all them other little sayings that they were saying. Oh, yeah, I respect the soldier that didn't get caught and all that little stuff. So that made people tune in a little bit more into politics. But now it's a little bit dry, and people are just not paying attention enough. And then now you have these other things that's happening.
I think we're paying attention. I think that where we're focusing our attention is the issue. I don't think that people aren't paying attention. I think that we have become so consumed with gossip mongering. Everything is about gossip now. Everything is about celebrities. Everything is about what's happening in celebrities' lives, and you see different things about politics woven in there, like with the Epstein list or the different things that are happening at Disneyland, the kids that are coming up missing, 2024 being an election year,
Mhm.
and the candidates, the information being in positions and issues, uh, what they're for and what they're against being highlighted. We're paying attention. It's just that with gossip being the number one form of communication, we're focusing our energy on getting that information to share it.
Yeah, yeah. No, I can agree with that, and I think we spoke a little bit about that where I said, even politics, all politics, that's gossip too. It's the
Yep.
most gossipy, but it's a little dry.
And
You kind of
slander.
gotta be into it a little bit to see the games that be played and all those
Mhm.
phony relationships. You'll see them do a photo op with one another, and then it's the very next day they talking smack about each other. I mean, if you really, really get into it, you can see how messy it is. But I think because it's not there's not a bunch of fights happening and a bunch of cheating scandals to the level of the way that they construct those shows that distract the masses. It doesn't get the attention that it should.
I
So that
agree.
that kind of brings us to the Cat Williams situation. Cat went up there to Club Shay Shay. Shout out to Club Shay Shay. He got the tight shirts with the hoodie. I mean, I got a hoodie too, but I can't really put it on. Let me
The
see.
pants were pretty tight too.
Yeah, yeah. The pants. Oh, well, hold on. Wait a minute. Hold on. Let me see. See, we got my pants. Nah, I didn't get the
No, it's
chance,
too much slack. It's too
man.
much slack still.
Come
Yeah,
on,
it's too
come
much.
on, Skip. No, but anyway, so yeah, so he was he was on Club Shay Shay, and man, he went in. He said a lot of things. And we're gonna eventually have some comedians on there because I would love to get their perspective on some of the things Kat mentioned specifically when it came to infighting in the
Yeah.
comedic world. You know, because that's they're part of a fraternity of brothers and sisters, and you don't get a chance to see the beefs the way that we've been seeing them in the past few years. You know, and to be honest, a lot of them have been involved in Cat Williams because he's more he tends to put the business out there a little bit
More
sooner
vocal.
than everybody else, way more vocal.
Yeah.
Uh, so so he spoke about how they're like little cliques
Hmm.
amongst the comedians and how they you know, they give opportunities and sometimes they block opportunities for people. They play little games with each other, with you know, with promoters, with you know, with the venues and all type of stuff. And the biggest one, stealing jokes. That was a huge topic there. I would just love to get some comedians on here to kind of talk about that, whether or not they've experienced any of that. They don't have to say any names, but you know, I think that's a very interesting thing to have a group of folks whose lifestyle, honestly, is somewhat untold. You only hear
Hmm.
about the big ones, and you hear about their life, you know, their lifestyle, what they've gone through coming up. But the way Cat is exposing a lot of this stuff, you can tell it get really, really messy. And
Oh, yeah.
people who are in that field, they probably should know the ins and outs of the comedic world. You have anything to add to that?
Well, I think we're looking at social grouping. You know, oops. Social grouping is not new. It's cliques and people collective, collective mindsets. I don't think it's new. I think that we're just paying more attention to it because, of course, now it's more highlighted. You see more of it in our social groups. It's people are clicked up and socially partnered up. But it's social grouping. Social grouping has happened throughout history, but it's when those social groups become malicious,
Yeah.
when those social groups begin to block other people's opportunities and are doing things in the background that are creating the idea of underdogs. And I think that's more of what Kat was highlighting, that he's the underdog, I'm the underdog, not necessarily because I don't have these opportunities, but because there's a specific group of individuals who are blocking me and I'm
Mhm.
still rising to the top. So 21 million views when I last looked. I'm sure there's more than that now. However, he's proving that he definitely is the underdog who is rising to the challenge. Throughout his interview, there were a couple things that stood out to me, being in the field that I'm in, that just highlighted some of that group think, some of
Mhm.
those social groupings, and just where we see how one concept can infiltrate and create a group mindset,
Yeah.
and then people just kind of go with it.
Yeah. I mean, that's the temperature nowadays. Honestly, it's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people who, when you
Group
put
think.
something out there, that boom, everybody's on it. You know,
Yep.
and that's something that's been it's been mastered by the powers that be, and now it's just rolling. There's nothing really you can do about it. So speaking of what the groups, but he actually has someone specifically that he loved talking about, who he's spoken about in the past, and that's Kevin Hart.
Oh yeah,
And their
absolutely.
situation has always been it's
Tumultuous.
always it's just always been something going on between those two. Um, from what I can remember, you know, Cat Williams was huge, and
Hmm.
that one specific stand up when he put you know, the information out there as far as what he experienced going to those mansion parties and stuff like that. I think that was the moment where they just was like, you know what, this guy talked too much, and he kind of was put on the back burner in the group. Now we didn't really notice it at first, but what happened quickly is that it went from Katt Williams, and all of a sudden, then Kevin Hart. Boom. Now Kevin Hart is this real funny guy. He's out there out of nowhere, and then Katt Williams decides to address it, and it just went from there. And it hasn't really stopped. He says some very interesting things. We've heard clips of him going off on Kevin Hart about going back and forth a roast, challenging one another. We've heard him mention that Kevin Hart is a plant, and
Absolutely.
if he's not a plant, then put up 5 million, to see who's the better comedian.
Yep.
It's a bunch of little things that's being said, and it's really heating up to the point where now other people are kind of just catching stray bullets. So, what do you think about the interview and what's going on between he and Kevin Hart?
So him and Kevin have a long history of tumultuous interactions, and so he mentioned in his interview with Shannon Sharp that Kevin was the only comedian that's come out who had a show, who starred in a movie, who led a movie, and no one's ever done it since him, before him, and since him, and that is a good indicator that he might be a plant. But in my personal opinion, just looking at kind of some of the way that Katt himself moves, I'm not so convinced that he himself is also not a plant. And why do I say that? Because if you know anything about the Illuminati, then it's a very, very prestigious social group. It's a society, it's a secret society, but you have to do certain things to participate, but you also can't do certain things against it without there being consequences. And even Katt Williams, in his avid talks against being a part of it, has been filmed with doing symbolic, hand gestures, like taking symbolic pictures. I mean, one eye symbolism, of which I'm very into. I'm a self-proclaimed conspiracy theorist. Yeah. And I look at those things. And so I've seen things. And of course, the internet is a digital blueprint. Nothing, the internet doesn't forget anything. So you can find everything on the internet. And I've gone back and looked at some of those things where he was participating. Maybe you have decided not to participate in the homosexuality that's associated with it, but I do not firmly believe that you're out 100%, as we've seen with just some of the freedom of his speak.
That's a very interesting point that you bring up, because when I'm listening to a lot of people reactions to the Club Shay Shay interview, I don't know why it don't sound right saying that, but anyway, the Shay Shay interview.
I said it.
Excellent.
So the thing is that a lot of people are caught up in, like you said, the gossip side of it. How he brought up, how Katt brought up, what's his name on Friday? What's his name?
Chris Tucker. Oh yeah.
He brought up Ricky Smiley, because Ricky Smiley was on Shannon Sharp's show prior to Katt Williams getting there, and he said some things about him being able to be casted as Money Mike at first, and then he ended up being the Santa Claus, which fit him better. Katt was like, "Nah, that didn't happen. How can that have happened if he's the one that built the character himself? It was a small role that really didn't have any significance at all, and then it grew into something because he had his input into it, and
absolutely,
and that caused a firestorm where a lot of people did address that, including Ice Cube himself. Ricky Smiley also did that, and he had, I think, his agent get up there and say no. Actually, he did audition for the part. What do you think about how information is passed? Because a lot of people heard that and they just like, yeah, Cat telling the truth. Cat, because the way he
Yeah.
talks, the way he's putting business out there, they're used to hearing him say some real slick stuff. He real slick with his tongue too, says a lot of good things. Um, but what do you think about people just choosing a side prematurely? And then after everyone's speaking, now there's more information. What do you think about that?
Well, I think that we're a society that tends to love the messenger. Once you love the messenger, you don't necessarily question the message. And I think that Katt is a proponent of that. Everybody loves Katt Williams because, I heard so many people say, "Oh, this is the year of truth," and Katt is the ringmaster of truth. He's the music man. He's leading the parade of truth. And it's like, not so much. Here, I don't think that he's not being honest. I think that he's leading with the details that he has, because as we saw with Ricky Smiley and then his agent and then Ice Cube, who came up the rear to confirm a lot of what he said, it was moreover both persons were right.
Mm-hmm.
It turned out that both of them were correct. At one point, Ricky Smiley read for Money Mike, and he was at the time best person for the part. And then they, just like in interviews, hey, we interview you, you're on a panel, we see you, we're like, this is the best person for it, but because of legalities or whatever, we have to honor the other people that showed up and interview them. And then throughout that process, you find somebody else who nails it, and now adjustments have to be made. So you see Ricky Smiley get it at first, Katt comes in and nails it down, offers some nuggets, takes this role and just brings it alive, and boom, you're it. Yeah. However, just like certain other positions, everything is need to know. So we don't go and tell Ricky Smiley you didn't get it because we thought Katt Williams was a better Money Mike than you. We just say, hey, we got a better part for you, and here's where we like to put you. And that information is not transferred. And so here now you have two individuals with two completely different perspectives, but when you narrow it all down, both individuals are right.
Yeah. And that reminds me and this isn't a new thing. I think people got to understand that I don't believe that they tell people all the details because it can cause issues. Just like when you're at a job, you don't talk about pay.
Right.
Because your experience may be warranted for you to get a certain amount of pay. Someone entry level, same position, doing the same work, but they don't have the credentials and haven't quite earned that top dollar yet, may not get it. But what do people do? They talk about the pay, and then all of a sudden, now the team is all shook up. People trying to understand, well, why this person making more money? I'm doing the same thing they doing, and this and that, and but that's why you don't talk about it. So this is the same scenario, but it was just a slightly different. Like, well, like you said, as a need to know. They didn't want to get rid of them because they already, gave him the spot, but they was like, let me just let us find something for him to do. And
something more fitting to his more fitting to his skill setting, to his skill set.
And he said it. So it's still people that don't get that both of them were right. It's people that still don't get it. And another thing too, I want to say, because I saw this last night. Ricky Smiley actually had a breakdown on live. Not too long ago. I think a day or so ago.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that he lost his son. This was like the 1 year anniversary of him losing his son.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, the comments were brutal.
Yeah.
People were going in there and they were thinking it was because of Katt. And they're like, oh, why record something and then post it and cry and all that stuff. Listen, when somebody grieving over something, that's just an addition to what's already going on. He's already holding on to that. So we have to stop looking at these celebrities as they're just these grand people who don't go through anything in life. No, people, they're people just like you and I. Maybe they face things on a grander scale, that that we're going to be talking about a little bit later. But they still, have things that they have heavy on their hearts, and he had a breakdown right then and there on the spot, and I felt for him. But look at those comments. People didn't really they weren't really feeling him, and I think that has something to do with that messenger thing that you said. That
Hmm.
that it was a line drawn in the sand, and if they don't really feel Ricky Smiley because they felt he lied, they're not going to have any compassion or empathy for him at all. And it was really sad to see. Did you see that?
I actually watched it, and I remember when he lost his child, and having had that experience in my life, losing a child myself. I know that when those anniversaries come, sometimes it's overwhelming. Even if you are at a place where you traversed the grief process, it does not shield you from those moments when the wave crests and capsizes over you. And so, if you consider that he may be already processing this loss and then being beaten up in society, in the social arena, he's being beaten up, but being called a liar, being called a thief, uh, being said that he's misrepresenting information, and he's like, I'm just telling the perspective, the truth that I have according to the perspective that I was, the vantage point that I was given, and then feeling like you need to go so far as to get your publicist and agent at the time to come and back you up, and you still, even after presenting this truth, not my truth but the truth,
Yeah.
you're still being beaten up. It all comes together and collides, and I could totally see it. And let's not forget, we live in a society where people would rather film your death than help you to save your life.
Yeah.
And he unfortunately is a casualty of this tumultuous comedic war. And I saw it, and my heart went out to him, because even if he were to come and say, it's just a bad day, this is this is the anniversary of this and this, and today is just a bad day, he would still be ridiculed, because now it would be an excuse
Yeah.
for his miscommunication or misrepresentation of details, instead of us as a people embracing this human being, because it's still a human being who's experienced significant loss, who is trying desperately to deal with that loss the best way that he can, amidst rapid fire
Yeah.
condemnation for something he did not do.
Yeah.
He just did not have all the details.
Yeah. And I think it's going to be interesting to hear Kat speak again. It was so much information and so many little missiles and stuff hit.
Ooh,
You know, I
torpedoes.
mean, torpedo, whatever you want to call it. I mean, he made a
Mhm.
lot of impact on people. I mean, he spoke about Ricky Smiley wearing those dresses and playing a woman more than playing a man in his career, and he would not stop. And I think he just caught him around a time where he was already going through enough. So I'm gonna go ahead and let up on that situation as well.
I'd
But
like to say also, too, my condolences to Ricky Smiley, having
yeah,
that particular experience be a part of my own story.
yeah,
My heart goes out to you. You're in my prayer and in my thoughts. And I know that losing a child is always with you, and the hurt never goes away. So,
yeah,
and as you traverse this particular um, set of circumstances, I ask the Most High to comfort your heart, and
right.
give you and your family peace while you all remember.
That's right. Yeah, yeah, because that's that. In a perfect world, and you don't expect to bury your child.
No.
And I know people who've lost their parents. They're not the same, but then parents who
Mhm.
lose their children, man, that is just a unreal. It's like a nightmare for
Yeah,
most people who tell me that like they wake up every day and it's just something
yeah.
they have to relive it over and over again. So Yeah, my
It changes
condolences
you.
as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in regards to certain things that Kat did say, even though the dress thing came up, um, there was also things about being a plant. He
Hmm.
did say that about Kevin Hart, and he brought up some reasons why, and you've already kind of went over it as far as him basically jumping on the scene and all of a sudden having a movie, already having all these things come up to him. That sounds like a plant. That sounds like someone who's already had everything on a silver platter, and he said it hasn't happened since then. What do you think that? Well, Cat Williams, Kevin Hart did respond. Did you hear his
Hmm.
response? What did you
I
think
didn't
of his?
know. He's the only one whose response. Well, I heard it. I heard a bit of it, but I didn't get to actually focus in on his. There were so many of them.
Mhm.
There are so many coming. Cardi B responded, Trick Daddy responded. There are people who weren't even involved that felt compelled to respond to this internet breaking interview, and this whole situation has just become convoluted with other people's opinions. Um, I did hear, I read actually a bit of Kevin Hart's response, and honestly, it's the same thing. Him and Kevin Hart have been going at it for years. It's kind of the same response tailored a different way.
Yeah,
And Kevin is basically saying, if you're worth your salt, prove it. No matter what my level of success is, if you can ascend to it, make it happen. I shouldn't be able to stand in the way of your opportunities if you're really that good, you
yeah.
know. And
And then he threw in a promo for his movie
he
on that
did,
on Netflix. Yeah.
he
So
did.
I think that
In
and
terms of the plant, though,
yeah.
so I'm going to have a differing, very unpopular opinion because I again self-proclaimed conspiracy theorist. I also know how conspiracy works. When you're the Jesuits, when you are functioning um, in the space of wanting to control both sides, you throw in a plant or a mold or something that allows you to control the opposition, so that no matter what you do, you create a win-win for you on both sides. You control the narrative and the outcomes. And I'm going to say it. I can't avoid the idea that maybe to some degree or another, Cat himself isn't to some degree or another a plant as well.
Now, do you think that that's intentional? Like he's intentionally being acting as a plant, or is because he's within that circle, he's a mole. He's somebody that people really don't want to tell anything to because now he obviously, when he has information, he withholds it and then he puts it out there for all to see and all to hear. Do you think that the folks that are in power, they're using him, but he doesn't know he's being used? Do you think that's what it is?
As conscious and aware and intellectually sound as he is, I shudder to imagine that he wouldn't be aware that he's being used. That he's being used. I think that to some degree or another, there are benefits to his being used. Again, if you go back in those digital footprints that the internet provides so graciously, you'll see that he's flaunting some of the same symbolism that the Illuminati, the people who are affiliated with the Illuminati, have flaunted. You'll see like his 23 and Me tour. If you do the numeric math, it comes to 666. I mean, it's like, come on, dude, you can't overlook some of this stuff. And in order to win the war, you control both ends.
Yeah.
So order out of chaos, controlled opposition. Maybe you're not necessarily like Kevin Hart or some of those others who have signed their name in blood on the dotted line, but you're definitely just as cognizant of what role you're playing to bring about certain ends and to create certain narratives. And again, we have the Epstein list coming out. And what better way to distract folks from the names that are on that list than an internet breaking interview with an individual that people see as a truth teller?
You know, I was thinking about that because when all that stuff happened with Katt Williams the first time, and then you start seeing they were saying he was crazy, they were saying he was on drugs. You saw the video of him getting wrestled down by that kid, and it just went on and on and on. You start seeing mugshot after mugshot of him, and then he had that candid interview where he spoke about, yeah, you know, he probably didn't really believe in the Illuminati all like that, but then once he realized that it was real, and people had to be cognizant of you know, going and shaking up that hornet's nest, and he did. He had to be stung a million times, and he's still not going to enjoy him, but he respect him. You would have thought that he wouldn't do another interview like this, which does kind of, to me, it does spark some interest as to like how much of this has he really been into, and if he actually is um like how far deep in it is he really? Because
I don't.
you would think that his situation with Kevin, that he would just let it go. I mean, he has like he said, he has 12 stand-up specials. He owns all 12 according to him. I haven't looked that up, but no one's refuted that.
Right.
Um, you would think that if you have that level of success, you have a cult following. You can continue on with your stuff and make your money and just go off into the sunset, take care of your family. But the
Right.
fact that he keeps bringing them up, it does seem fishy. Like, what's the point in doing that? Are we talking humiliation rituals? Because that's what we've been seeing anyway. This is just another chapter of it. We're looking at what happened to Diddy and all the Jonathan Majors, all the other people whose business Ti and his wife again recently. It's
Again.
it's all type of stuff happening right now. What do you think is going on with Cat as far as his involvement? Do you think he's in there a lot deeper than what he's saying?
I think that he's an exceptionally talented comedian. I think that he has earned his spot. I think that he is an amazing humanitarian. I think that he has. I loved his segment on how he pays his tithes. I thought that was beautiful that he gives back to the cities that he performs in because he's not affiliated to a specific church. So he recycles that back into those communities. I think I want to say that he is a solid individual. Nevertheless, I'm not foolish. And if he truly is a believer, as he promotes, then even he has to also understand that to a degree, to exalt him, it would be idol worship as well.
Yeah.
And
Agreed.
so it's like, you got to draw it back. And if you truly, as a believer myself, we understand that we don't exalt ourselves. We allow God to exalt us, because he who exalts himself will be brought low, and he who is low will be exalted. So it's like you keep going in almost to these spaces like they don't know who they're dealing with. But when you really are a child of the Most High, that's something you don't have to do. That battle is not yours. You don't have to fight it. God will fight it all on your behalf. And if it is God's will and purpose for you to ascend to a particular position, nothing's going to stop it. You
I'm
don't have to pick these fights.
I'm glad that you said that, because I have you know what really chaps my ass, and I don't even like saying it like that, but when you
I
hear,
feel like you do.
I look at people I look at people real funny when they try to put God in front of them as a shield to kind of
Yeah.
justify their BS.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, you know, only God can judge me, so I'm not trying to hear what you're talking about. I'm doing this, I'm doing that.
Yeah.
Don't put God in the your mess. You know, people. always talking about the spirit this, the spirit that. Come on now. I mean, a lot of times, man, they trying to convince themselves of something. And then there'll be a lot of drama around them because of that. So this situation, I'm looking at it like, did it really need to be done? Because it's a whole lot more other things going on in society that's far more important than what's going on between some comedians that they could have just talked that out before, it even got out there like that. That's what makes me feel like that initial thing that happened to him where he was kind of outcasted. You kind of get left with the not necessarily regret, but like, you got a foul taste in your mouth because you were right there. You were like right there, and you just like, and now this cat is you're looking at this person take the shine, and you see in your mind, you think they corny, you think, they really don't have what it takes. And now you just keep going and going and going. Now, like you said, I think Katt a stand-up dude. I've seen him say a lot of real stuff. Even the situation with the kid, everybody laughed at him about it, but Katt is known for going to communities. He just wanted to play basketball with the kids just to show, he still got it. And then there was just one little badass boy that was his height, his height, his weight, decided he want to get on Katt Williams. I mean, he did. But I like how Katt even bounced back from that and added a little bit of that into his stand-up, which shows how great of a comedian he is. Because if you're a comedian and you can't talk about yourself, I don't really think that you're that great of a comedian. You have to be able to
laugh at yourself.
You got to be able to laugh at yourself. You can't. I look at some comedians who they're really funny. They'll joke on you, but as soon as a joke is on them, you can tell on their face they damn near ready to fight. It's like, come on now, you got to have tougher skin than that. You know what I'm saying? You can't, you can't take it, but you can dish it out. That's wild, man. Especially for a comedian. It just don't make no sense. And growing up, we did the dozens cap on each other all the time. And we're not talking about lying, y'all. Young folks, y'all say cap, but we say cap like joking on each other and stuff.
High side.
Yeah. So high side, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So but yeah, you had to have tough skin amongst each other. So how can you choose a career to be a comedian and you can't take a joke against yourself? That just don't even make sense. But the way that shows how strong of a comedian he is, though. He took the hits and did what he had to do. I just think that him, everybody likes to say no thank you themselves. They don't want to be told no thank you to somebody else. And I think that's what has this ongoing thing, because now he's seeing this guy doing, and he's critiquing every little thing he does. And he's right in certain things that he's saying, but is it really necessary? That's the point where it catches my attention. Is it really necessary?
But I think that when you feel slighted and your amazing talent, your amazing skills are minimized and diminished, I get it. I get it. I don't. In my life, I've always said there are things that I don't respond to. Like you call me the B word, I won't respond to that. I'm not that. You call me the H word, I won't respond to that. I'm not that. There are things that will trigger me. You better not say dumb, stupid, or crazy, because those are things that would probably get the roof raised. Because it's like, no, I work hard on knowing. I work hard on learning and researching and collecting information. So I get it. I get it. When somebody comes in direct opposition or directly against something that you fostered, you worked your butt off on, and says, nah, this is what you are. You feel almost compelled to defend it. But it's like the Chris Brown thing. When the whole Rihanna thing came and they wanted to cancel him, his stardom was so big, his following was so big, that even if this was a humiliation ritual, they wanted to cancel him, they wanted to teach him a lesson. Society had already decided that Chris Brown's star was so big you couldn't dim it.
Yeah.
And they had to retract because he was a powerhouse moneymaker. Yeah. And so is Katt Williams. He's a powerhouse. He packs auditoriums. He makes money. He broke the freaking internet 2024.
Yeah.
So you don't have to do a lot of this mean-spirited, malicious, attacking, dragging and slandering of individuals, because really your star, your celebrity speaks for itself. Your skills, your talent, your gifts speak for themselves. And so now the beauty and the person that you are is tainted by the malicious, sometimes almost mean-spirited way that you deliver your critique.
That's the whole point. Cause I feel Katt, when you feel slighted, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would be like, the response would be, well, it's the principle. It's the principle. But then you think about it, well, what's the principle behind all this? Besides all the, Illuminati talk, besides all the, he's a plant. What is the real true principle behind him going at Kevin Hart like that? Because you can be competitive. Any of them. But in particular, just that situation, because he said more about Kevin than anybody else. Like that, they around the same height, I think. It's just one of the things that just, I mean, the more I'm thinking about it, the more unnecessary it seems. People could get caught up in the talking and all that, like, Trick Daddy. That was kind of crazy. I saw him driving and he contradicted himself, because he sat there and said he a street dude, and you could see him any kind of way. And then towards the end, he said something like, as
You're
black
singing Kumbaya.
we can't be doing that. We got to stop doing all that. I'm like, okay, well, shit, you didn't even have. Did he even say his name? I don't even think he mentioned him.
Like, which one is it? Well, Ali Sadiq challenging him to a fight. It's like, okay, you want this camaraderie across the board, this peace, a harmonious outcome, but then you're like, we could fight it out and then we can get the proceeds to whatever charity you want. Why does it come to that? All he did was stand up and say, here's where I've been slighted, here are the things that I know, here are the details that I have. A little shade, he threw a lot of shade. Some people got some strays, but he was just essentially saying, I can prove what position I'm standing in. And then all these other people got involved, injecting themselves into the situation, making it bigger than it is, when really the only people that, even if they desired to or felt compelled to respond, were the people that he attacked. And those are the people that should have had something to say. Luda, with the wife thing, I understood wanting to defend your wife. I understood wanting to defend your talent. Again, Katt, you're putting people in the same position that you profess that you're being put in.
Yeah.
You're challenging how they got where they are.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm saying. Like, people just they're talking about the surface level stuff. But even that thing he said with Ludacris, it was almost said like, look, man, when you take that money and then all of a sudden you have a woman that fits a certain mold, and they're appointed to you almost like your handler, you have a certain look now. He still shouldn't have never said anything about it, but like, I think a lot of people just took it as just the initial comment and not looking beyond what he's saying. He got to a level where he got 200 million, got all these movies, and I guess his contract almost up, because he's on the 10th Fast and Furious movie, and he has a structured, manufactured lifestyle that came along with that. Now, I don't know what to think about that. I think it's a little weird that that does happen. We don't know if that's 100% true, but if we look into some of these folks who become famous, you do start seeing things like that. I mean, you go on Instagram right now.
Yeah.
And look, I used to be offended when they say all these people look alike and all that. And
What they
because
do.
I know it's not true, right? However, now that we've been able to use what is that called? People are masters at changing their face and putting on masks. You see a lot of people looking the same, acting the same, mannerisms, everything, and mannerisms and all that stuff the same. And if there is something there to that, where you can kind of hide someone who's there to be your handler. Well, if it's something you're used to seeing, you wouldn't even know if it if it was put there intentionally or not. I found it interesting that that Cat said that.
Well, I think, one, let me go back and say this. I think that Katt Williams is so debonair, such a handsome, smart, intelligent, stand up man. He's so well spoken. Even when he's trying to like be Cat Daddy Mac, Cat Daddy Mac Cat, he's still very eloquent. He's so smart, and he he's a spitfire. Like, he comes out spitting fire, literally, and he's confident. He gets attention. He's going to get your attention. People stop, stand up, and listen. It's like the old school commercial when E.F. Hutton talks. People stop and listen, and he's that person. It's like E.F. Hutton, and
I
he's
ain't
that
gonna lie.
guy. But I think he does his brand a bit of disservice when he gets into these petty discrepancies, these petty spats with individuals that he obviously sees beneath himself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, now, are we really talking about your skill and your talent and your gift and these doors that God has opened and these positions that God has put you in, and you being exalted by the Most High, that are now being overshadowed by your ego? Like,
Thank you.
your packed stadiums that you do not promote, that people show up for in droves, speaks for itself.
They love
And
him.
they do. I do. Like, I happen to think that he is quite handsome and smart. And everybody knows, if you know anything about me, I think smart guys
Choosing
are hot.
Cat.
I think smart guys are hot. I do. I do. When he used words like grand eyes, I was like, that man is after my heart. Just some of the language he used just made me swoon. I was like, ooh, that man.
Yeah.
Then I've always been a sucker for long hair. But, watching him navigate these spaces that he's in, it was almost like, stand in the space that you've been provided because you've earned it. You don't have to prove anything to anybody at this point. The very fact that's literally 21, that's the last time I looked. I don't know what it is at this point, but the fact that 21 million people viewed Club Shay Shay, and I really feel like Shannon need to change that because he's too fine and masculine to have something with Club Shay Shay. That's just my touch on it.
Yep.
Viewed that video, and some of us 2 and 3 times, speaks for itself. You don't have to prove anything. And when I watched the Cedric the Entertainer clapback, where people posted the side by side of Cat doing his joke and then Cedric doing the allegedly stolen joke, I was so mesmerized with how fine Cat was in the black with the long hair with the cap that I didn't even give a damn that Cedric stole that joke. I was like, he couldn't have been that fine doing it. He could have been that fine doing it. So
your third time choosing up on, and I'm glad you mentioned the joke stealing thing, because I looked that up too. Now, Ced is talented. I like the way he tells stories and stuff. But I gotta say, they found another one one of the jokes that I liked that he did when he was saying he was in the country with his family and he couldn't understand his cousin
Mm-hmm.
and he called him Bominicious. And and he kept calling him Bominicious, and it was like, you mean CJ? Said no, he told you his name. He said call him by his initials, right? Well, come to find out, it's a TV show where that was the joke. And that right there, that blew me all the way away. This is the reason why I want to get some comedians up here, because that was a funny joke, but that actually was on a sitcom, I think in the 90s, where the guy, let me see if I can pull it up real quick. The guy he spoke about it. He said it's a Bominicious story where they had these employees. This guy always came to work or something like that, and the lady wanted to write him a check for doing his work, and was like, Bominicious, I don't know how to spell that. And he said, no, when I first met you, I gave you my name, but I told you to address me by my initials. And when I saw that, I said, damn it, said really did steal it. So, the thing, what I'm saying is that it's a lot of things in the entertainment industry that we just don't get a chance to see, like the ins and outs. Like it's a skullduggery. Like in order to move up, I mean, it's a lot of snaking going on to the top. So I can understand the competitiveness and not wanting to let up on somebody who you feel that haven't really earned it. And it could, and he probably is just the person, because he was, like talking about Kevin, because he was put in that spot. Katt is just shaking them down on the strength, almost kind of like how when 50 got into it with Ja Rule. Ja Rule kind of he was an artist that was with somebody that 50 was beefing with, and 50 just kind of drove his career down to the ground. And that's almost what it seemed like is happening. So it'll be interesting to know who are the people that put Kevin in that position that could have put Katt in that position and was done with him. Because that's really what it looked like to me. It looked like that he's just a person of circumstance. It didn't have to be. It didn't have to be Kevin. It could have been any other comedian that replaced him. And guess what? That person would be getting put out there relentless.
Well, Mike Epps has alluded to that as well. Mike Epps is another one who is phenomenal in his craft and is completely, to my, in my opinion, overlooked like Katt. Katt and Mike are amazing. Like, you are not going to go to a Mike Epps or a Katt Williams set and not literally spend the time dying laughing. And they're not as revered or presented, with these opportunities as those others. I do, of course, where I live, conspiracy. I'll jump in a rabbit hole and chase the white rabbit to the end of it. Right. It's just what I don't watch TV. I read. I like those things. So I get it. I get feeling compelled to defend yourself and defend your gifts and defend your honor. Nevertheless, I do believe that when you have worked so independently to build your platform, to build your brand, to be this thing that like, they can't stop him. They can't stop him. No. It's like the Chris Brown thing. They couldn't stop him. It's like they closed the door, but shortly after they had to let him back in. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's what's happening with Katt. They tried to close the door, but when you start looking at his earning potential, his star power, God, let him back in. And he's saying on a consistent basis, yeah, now recognize. And that's what this is all about. We can argue the whole, oh, this person stole this, but let's just be truthful. Ecclesiastes says there's nothing new under the sun. Literally. There is nothing new under the sun. What makes the difference is the way you tell it. It's the way you put your spin on it. It's you independently. It's how you personalize it. And Katt Williams is all about originality. So he searches out these opportunities to be himself, to present original content. And that's why he's so frustrated, because he can see it where he's like, that ain't yours. This is mine.
You that's your intellectual property, and you see somebody get it and remix it, you're gonna
Plagiarism.
feel a certain way, because that joke with the spaceship, I
Yep.
think that said he polished it and made it a little bit better. Even
Well, he
with the
made it his
music,
own.
he made it his own. He polished
Yeah.
it, made it his own, and the delivery was a little bit better. The music selection that he had, it would fit a wider range of people. It just was when he made it his own, he polished it up. But
I don't think he made it better. I just think he made it his.
He made
and
it his.
Yeah. But isn't that what you do?
Yeah, that's what you do. But I mean, when I saw, and this isn't to be disparaging, but I remember watching him do that joke, and I totally forgot about it. Right, and then when Said did it, it is his joke, right? But upon going back and looking at it, like, okay, well, that's where he got it from, and this is where the problem lies. If somebody say, okay, this is where you got the idea from, and you don't pay homage to it, or you don't get them the credit, that's where you're like a slime ball.
It's plagiarism.
Yeah, that's plagiarism, and that's not cool. So if you're amongst your fellow comedians, and all of a sudden, somebody taking your stuff, but they're making it their own, and not saying, shout out to such and such, that's a problem.
Yes. I think that was the problem.
Professional courtesy. If you don't even if you do it, because they say imitation is the greatest form of flattery, right? But so that's fine. But when you're taking somebody's stuff, you can't be mad at their response. So
and claiming it as your own original work. Had he said at the end of it on Kings of Comedy, in his wrap up, thank you everybody for being here. Shout out to Katt Williams for writing a great joke and allowing me to put my spin on it. I feel like we wouldn't be here today. You wouldn't be there. You wouldn't be taking the shots that you're taking today.
If people would, when he was asked about it, and he just would say, yeah, he has a similar joke like that, and I kind of took from that, because I believe that a lot of comedians do that.
Yes.
What's the name from Friday that played the uncle? Forgot his name. I don't know why.
The uncle.
That played the uncle. DC. What's his name?
Well, which Friday are we talking about?
The second and third one.
After next. Okay, I was gonna say on Friday or no uncle. Yeah. But on after next, yeah, the one that had the wife.
One, yeah, exactly. So he said that that there are writers, they'll have writers who would actually go out, and they'll be notepad, and they'll be stealing people jokes. And they'll give it, and then they'll sell it to the comedians, the big comedians, and then before you know it, and they're being accused of stealing jokes. So he also said that allegedly that Katt Williams actually does have writers. He actually did say that. So that's a whole nother thing. So that's why I'm anticipating Katt Williams saying something again, because now it's somebody who he didn't mention, who he is cool with, who said, they were, the people who were interviewing him were kind of addressing the fact that Katt said that he writes his own material and stuff like that, and he was like, "Who? Him?" Like, no. He has some writers too, But
well, I think he kind of alluded to that too. He said that he wrote his joke, and then Mark Curry sent him back to the lab and said, "No, let's punch it up. Let's put some spit on it."
They help each other, and that's where I think that's where Katt's gripe is with them, because there's no loyalty. How are you going to take my joke and polish it without? First off, you could have gave it to me and still got the credit. You see, but you could have got the credit for helping me polish it, like how he mentioned Mark Curry. But if you just take it and you just do whatever, that's not cool. I don't subscribe to that. So Anyway, the reason why we're talking about all this though is because I think it's so much more deeper. I think that everyone who's watched that interview for the sake of being entertained, now watch it again to read between the lines of what he's saying because it's so much more. And and I
Yeah.
like the fact that Tay was mentioning, being a conspiracy theorist because I think I'm a bit of a conspiracy theorist too. You start reading in between the lines of things.
Yeah.
Um, you start noticing he's saying a whole lot more, but just with very few words.
Yeah.
It's hard to
Absolutely.
say that when he spoke to Shannon for about what 2.5 2 hours or something like that. But the little nuggets of information that he said, you could break down one sentence and then just talk about that one sentence, and now you have a whole new conversation. That's what I
Yep.
mean by
Yep.
anything he said stand out to you?
You could play the soundbite. I think you and I agree that there is a couple of different things. I loved when he said that Satan doesn't bless, Satan can't bless anybody, but which biblically that's not biblically sound. Satan actually does bless the individuals that come into allegiance with him. But we get so wrapped up on this. People sell their souls, but if people will allow me for a moment to get on my soapbox, I want to clarify something as a believer that Ezekiel 18:4 says that, in the Bible, God says all souls are mine. Therefore, you really can't sell something that does not belong to you, because at the end of your life, all souls return to the source. So essentially what is happening is the enemy manipulates you into believing that you have sold your soul, and then by that manipulation coerces you into agreement. So it's really more like you can't sell your soul essentially, but you can come into allegiance with an authority. You can give the enemy a legal right and an authority over your life to create havoc. And that's
Yeah,
what's usually happened. And once you become in agreement, you have to honor certain contractual details of that agreement. And that's what you see people doing. But at
yeah,
the end of the day, I love that Katt Williams stood. I've been waiting to say this, literally. He stood on business and he kept it a buck. He kept it a buck. And no matter what the fallout is, he made sure that he was ready. He knew there would be clapback. He knew there would be other people that would inject themselves, but he said what he said and he stood on what he said. And we move forward from here. And let's
yeah.
see what happens.
Let me go back to what you said about the selling of the soul thing. That was very good the way you broke that down. Um, and I told you this yesterday that it reminds me of Dracula. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you got to be careful when you allow certain people in your space because you don't know them, you don't know what they're about, and they can wreak a lot of havoc in your life. In this case, yeah. Um, a lot of people don't know the story of Dracula, but um, Dracula will come to your house and stand outside your door until you say, "Well, come on in." That's just how Dracula is. Um, but once you get into your house, now you've welcomed them in. Now, whatever happens, now it's like this is what we're doing now. You've made this pact with me. You welcome me into your personal space, and this is what it's going to be. And I think these folks in the industry who sell their soul, everything that comes with the good, all the bad and the ugly, they have to embrace it because that's just a part that's just a part of the game. The humiliation rituals that we see, you being, all the parties, all the wild things that they brag about, and then now 20 years later,
Blood
they're
sacrifice.
the blood sacrifices, those two. And all these shakedowns that's happening from 20, 30 years ago, all them things, you're back enjoying yourself with these folks, and then now it's time to pay the piper, one way or another. So um but you don't have to be a celebrity to go through that. You just have to be careful of who you allow in your space and what they're about. Take your time, get to know them, ask the right questions, because if you don't, then you have to hold yourself accountable for everything that comes with that. You know, that's the only way you're gonna get up out of it. You can't blame that person when you welcome them around in your space. So I just want to add that little piece there. Is there was something else we were gonna get into, but I think it's so much information. I wanted to kind of talk about who's on the list? I want everybody who watching this, who's on Epstein's list? Because we can talk about this Katt Williams stuff a long time, but you know what's happening. Jonathan Majors, P. Diddy,
Clinton,
Clinton.
Prince Andrew.
Okay. No, I wasn't talking about people. I wasn't naming people on the list, but I'm saying all these things that's happening.
Oh yeah, the mall, the Miami Mall thing, the face in the sky.
Oh my God! You know what? We got at least 15 more minutes. Want to talk about that real quick?
I'm game. I mean, I'm game. I came to play. Let's do it.
Because of the list, all of a sudden, a New Year's, like, what was it, New Year's Eve or New Year's Day in Miami? They said that it was either a fight. It was rumors that a fight had ensued in the mall, and it was a bunch of youth walking around with sticks, clubbing people. And then you see a aerial view of a helicopter. You see like 50, 60 police cars, right? And then all of a sudden, there's rumors of it not being the kids fighting it. In actuality, it was some type of entities that was running around up in there cloaked, scaring the living crap out of people, and shots were fired and everything. Now, they said the things was like 7 to 10 feet. Y'all can look this up yourself, okay? Remember, this is a satire show, but go ahead and look it up, and just keep an open mind as far as what happened, because I found it interesting that all that happened and not one person has cell phone footage. Just let me know what you think about it. Go, I'll give you the floor.
Well, you know what I thought. You know, in a society where people would sooner film your death than save your life, nobody has film footage of these 10-foot tall entities that were running loose in a mall, creating absolute mayhem, that the Miami PD felt it necessary to dispatch 75 squad cars to the scene.
That's ridiculous.
I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. And not only that, here's why I'm not. There is no footage. Even when you look at the footage that is available on YouTube, you don't get a real clear idea of what's going on. And not to mention, we just also saw the leaking of the footage of the cloaking technology that China has and is choosing to weaponize. So it's like, come on. Again, it's, self-professed conspiracy theorists. It's a rabbit hole I'm willing to jump down. But I just think that there's something else happening. I think that these are planned distractions as we are entering this presidential year, the releasing of the Epstein list, and so many other hard-hitting issues, button topics that are happening. I think that they're diverting people's attention away from the things that we do need to be focusing on, because there are going to be some detrimental changes. Oh, not to mention, the cryptocurrency world has taken a huge hit with at least 8 of the individuals who have created these cryptocurrencies, including the most recent individual who created the Cash App platform, being murdered in these odd and peculiar, bizarre ways, only for them to introduce the Fed app.
Yeah.
Come on, we got to look deeper. We have to, we all are so hell-bent on pushing this woke narrative, yet everybody is still sleepwalking. It's like, come on, you've got to use your critical thinking skills. You got to look deeper than this stuff. There's more going on.
Hold on, here we go. You're right. It is more going on, and we got one witness to the Miami thing. Hold on, this is what he had to say. Here we go.
What's up, y'all? I'm here to set the record straight, man. All right.
Like, I literally have been getting interrogated by the police department for days, my dude. I look at me.
What's there to look at? You got on a yellow hoodie.
It is really aliens.
Okay.
It's really aliens. And I cannot believe that the Miami Police Department is really going to try to make it seem like they had all those police cars and stuff out there over some kids fighting, y'all. We talking about 3 and 4 blocks. They asked us what we saw. It was me, 2 of my cousins, and 1 of my homegirls. All 3 of us being basically locked up.
Okay.
Damn.
Hold on. What'd he say?
I ain't trying to get in trouble or nothing like that, but I'm just telling y'all, man.
Verse 48.
This shit is so real, man.
Hold on. I think he's gonna say it.
Like, everybody saw it.
Okay, we get it. We got it. He's claiming for sure.
Okay, so that's not the one. I hate when I pull up some footage and then you only get some of it. But anyway, what he said is that while he was in the mall, he was seeing something running around, looking cloaked, and it looked like a shadow, but then it didn't. But then it looked solid at the same time, and it would disappear at some point, and then it would reappear, and then it would be just a little bit closer, and that triggered a response to people start shooting at whatever it was, and a lot of people was running. It caused a lot of issues. So when you mentioned that cloaking, I remember back. I think in it had to be 2000 or the late 90s, where they had a cloaking device. They had some technology where they had it where this sheet or this fabric that they had would bend the light around you. So essentially it was a cloaking device, but it wasn't really that good. But the one they just released is really, really good. In fact, have you been seeing those dresses lately? They have those dresses that change at like the style and the color of the pattern of the dress change instantaneously. Have you
Yes,
seen that?
yes.
Those two? I think that's like a similar technology.
Remember, before they ever release evidence of the technology, it's been around for generations, and they've been working on it for decades. And I find it so. Again, here we are. You find the most unreliable witness when a whole mall emptied at the appearance of this thing. Yet you can't find one reliable witness, including a Miami Police Department officer.
I think it's their whatever it was. I'm gonna say that it could have been military.
Can somebody just say Project Bluebeam?
I mean, it could have been Project Bluebeam. It could have been that, but it also could have been somebody really wearing them suits, running around, scaring people.
But that's what that all encompasses in Project Bluebeam. You know, this ability to project this scene from one end of this dome to the other, and it's like we're inundated with images of aliens. We're inundated with messages of not being alone in the universe, and now all of a sudden you pick Miami Mall to go running through. Like, come on. And nobody sees it. Nobody. It's Miami. Everybody in Miami sees everything.
They got cameras, and they everybody has a camera. Everybody's taking pictures of themselves. That everybody running around half naked. The weather's nice out there, even at night. Yeah, you're right. Somebody had a cell phone. Somebody has somebody saw something. I mean, this brother here. I mean, he seemed like he didn't smoke the blunt before he started talking. He was like, "Yeah, man, me and my folks and all them. You know what I'm saying? Man, I ain't even trying to say nothing, man. I'm on parole, and I ain't trying to, You know, man, I ain't
I
really
saw
trying to.
an alien, and now I'm afraid to recount what I saw. Like it's a probation violation that I saw an alien. Come on, we've got to be more. Come on, people, we've got to be sharper than this. We've got to use our critical thinking skills here. I know that our educational institutions are more indoctrinational institutions and not really there to educate the masses, but you've got to have some brain cells that you can employ on your own. There's no way you're going to tell me that you dispatch 75 units to an incident and no one has any video or recorded evidence or documentation of the incident in a system where people will literally whip out their phone and record you dying rather than save your life.
I'm trying to go on Twitter right now and see if I can find anything, because you know people put stuff on Twitter immediately. You can see it. You know,
Sweetheart, do you remember the guy that the young man that graduated and him and his friends went on a like, I don't know if it was a murder mystery boat or whatever to celebrate his graduation, and his friends dared him to jump off the boat. He jumps off the boat and they don't necessarily say it, but he's attacked by something, which if you look in the water on the video footage, it looks like he's attacked by a shark. Let me explain something, and he disappears. Let me explain something to you, and my heart goes out to that family because that was the most horrific scene. But even there's video footage of that.
yeah.
So you mean to tell me that the most historic incident of our time, if this is true, no one catches on video? No one. Yeah, right.
Gunshots, but it turns out that was actually fireworks. But either way, that caused everybody to start rushing for the doors. People was leaving stuff behind. I mean, just dragging their kids. It was just complete fucking chaos, man. Anyway, so as we running, we look back and we noticed some weird shapes taller than me. I'm 6'2", shadowy, dark, solid shapes, not human. I promise you, these is not human. I mean, it made the hair stand up on my skin. And shit, we just booked it for the doors after that, man. I can't explain what that was. I can't say that was aliens, but I can say that was not human. It was not human. And they online, I don't know if they're trying to cover this stuff up, but
of course they are.
Saying that it was police officers and somebody, not shadowy figures. It's 2024, man. It's something going on. There's something going on, and they trying to cover it up. A lot of people saw what I saw, and like I say, it was so much chaos ensued that it was just hard to let that sink in, that we was realizing what we looking at. I mean, it's something.
Where the footage at?
Never even creating your head in a dream.
The footage at?
I'm putting this out there though, man, because I want people to know that this stuff is real. Get this out and spread this. And if you were a person that was there and you saw what I saw, please put this video out, because they trying to cover this stuff up, man. They don't want.
Somebody got some footage.
Everybody's got some doggone footage. The mall got footage.
Yeah, they got footage. Whatever it was, they got it. Whatever it is.
And last time I checked, fireworks don't follow you.
Right. And see, and then they have this footage here where it looks like it's, I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. They look like some people walking. Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Oh, what have we done?
Let's see, more footage. You know, then you got to be careful, because then people are immediately doing CGI and all that stuff. So there's some footage, but I don't really believe that.
It's not trustworthy.
Yeah, they got some stuff though. They got some stuff. Let me see. Hold on. Ooh, somebody got ran over. Really? Now, that's real. Somebody got ran over running into the street. But anyway, what I want to thank you Tay, for coming on. You know how we do. We got a whole lot more to talk about. We're gonna continue going. I want to thank everyone who's going to be watching this replay, and I would love for everyone. Let's do some homework. I want to know the names that's on that list because we definitely have been distracted, successfully distracted with, I guess, some more interesting gossip. I think that's pretty much what's going on. We have some current events that's far more serious. You probably want to start getting that water and getting all your stuff to make sure that your family's okay in case another lockdown happens. You never know. We've been talking about all those different things that's been coming up. We've already experienced it once, so let's go ahead and just get all our things together and pay more attention to what's going on in current events. Tay, what do you have going on? You want to say anything before we get up out of here?
I think that you already started a great conversation about preparation and being prepared, and you use your better judgment. I know that we always talk about common sense, but common sense is not that common. I mean, what's common to you may not be common to me, may not be common to the next person. But as we enter this new age of uncertainty, just do your due diligence, protect your family, get store water, store food, because if something crazy does happen and we do enter another phase of lockdown, or whatever was running around at the mall is released in the world, the last thing you want to have to do is you or any other member of your family be in the world having to figure out what you're going to feed your family or drink or eat or whatever. And if in all things, seek the Most High. It's time to get your own house in order and not fall prey to a lot of these stories, these deceptive, divisive tools that are being used to mislead society. And Noon, I always enjoy a good conversation with you, no matter what it's about. We find our way to talking about the most interesting things.
Right.
But as we close, I just want to say thank you for having me. I've enjoyed the conversation, as I always do, and we always find ourselves chasing the rabbit down the rabbit hole.
That's right. That's right. Thank you. I appreciate you for coming on, and I'll chat with you in just a bit. All right. So, in closing, everybody, I would just like to say thank you for enjoying this conversation. Shout out to Tay Rob. She's always been there from the beginning, and I'm glad that she can hold these type of conversations. We're going to do some stuff in the future. But I just want to close by saying, who said that? Oh my gosh. Now I'm feeling like, wait a minute. Shakespeare. There we go. Shakespeare. He said, all the world's a stage and all the men and women merely players. Don't forget that. Okay. Get right with everybody. You got issues with people, get right with them. There's no sense of holding on to stuff. Do what's right, do the right thing, and keep it pushing. That's how you do that. Okay. Don't chase after nobody who don't mean you no harm, who don't mean you any good. But get right with it, move past it, because it's a whole lot of things going on in this world where if you're stuck concentrating on that, man, you may just get caught with your pants down. Okay. So this is Tenoonzie. I'll holla at y'all on the next one. Peace.